Okay. All right. Let's take some public comment.
My name is Don Bennett, and I've lived in Fayetteville since 1981. And a year and a half ago, I started a farm. I'm the founder and director of Tricycle Farms. It's a 2 1/3 acre farm in the center of the city. It's right at this intersection of Sycamore and Garland Avenue. And nobody knew it was there until we invited the whole city in to come and be part of our community experience. I want to thank you, Lionel, Mayor Jordan, and Councilman Matthew Petty, Sarah Marsh. Y'all have all been out there. We've all talked about how important law is in defining what a citizen can and cannot do. We find ourselves in parts of the country where rights are being taken away. You can't make investment in your property because you don't necessarily have the right to do what generations ago we took for granted, which is just food. You know, I approached this idea of Tricycle Farms and inviting the community in so that because we are separated from our culture of food. It's predicated by golden arches. At Tricycle Farms, chicken tenders are actually people that take care of the chickens that we have at the farm. It's not something we eat.
Not eat that fried?
No, none of that. I thought that in 2 acres in the center of the city that we could throw a pebble in a pond and create a ripple effect through the neighborhood. And it's gone beyond my wildest imagination. There's a church across the street that served a meal every 3rd Sunday. And we crossed the street, so we'd like to impact that meal, and they invited us in with open arms, open doors, and open hearts. And now, through a combination of 7 multi-denominational churches, we've turned it into Sunday supper together, not just us, but a community coming together and deciding that we could actually use every Sunday for a meal that we share with community, and everyone, including everyone in front of me and behind me, is invited to this meal because it's a community experience. It's not a soup line. And we hope to impact that meal every 3rd Sunday with fresh, naturally grown food, no chemicals, high nutrient density, because really what this food city idea is going to give us is a healthy city. It's going to give us a deep economy that we can connect with our neighbors and share food like we used to. We can build barns like we used to. That's what we're trying to build. But bridges, I think, to each other, to our neighbors. The transformation in the neighborhood is that people are buying homes to live next to the farm and becoming our neighbors and share the work on the farm. We've got this idea that we can share a 1/3 of the food, give away a 1/3 of the food, and sell a 1/3 of the food. So, you know, showing how we can sell food off of our property to restaurants and vendors and neighbors through a walking experience or through using the bike trail to deliver our food is some of the ideas that we have. But we need government to say that that is possible. And some folks told me that this day would never come, but I said, we live in Fayetteville. Yeah, it's definitely possible, and I believe that in our near future we'll be looking back at this day like we looked back on those bike trails and realize what a great asset it will be to the community. And when we start to really understand what a deep economy is, when we trade dollars with our neighbors, that our tax base explodes, and the true sustainability of a community is where we're going to find it, and it's going to be in our food. Because some guy, I want to steal a quote, but he said, food is our problem. Food is our solution. And thank y'all again, and thank you, Peter.
Thank you very much for your work. Okay, who else?
Hello. My name is Joanna Pollock, and I just really want to thank you, Mayor Jordan, for your leadership on this issue and ensuring that we're going to pursue a comprehensive urban ag policy, a comprehensive food policy for our city. And thank you to the council as well, and officials and planners as well, for really taking this on deeply. And I feel exceedingly grateful and moved to be a part of this community. Just to be able to live here is a privilege. I just wanted to express my support for pursuing a comprehensive urban ag policy for Fayetteville. I think it is just the right thing to do on so many levels. Matthew talked about climate change, and moving to more of a locally based food system is going to have a huge impact on greenhouse gas emissions. Food security has been addressed very well tonight, and by giving people the sovereignty to pursue growing their own food and the empowerment to do so, that's going to create a food system that is going to be more diverse, that's going to be more nutrient dense, and it builds social capacity in a community too. You know, my husband and I live at Tri-Cycle Farm, and you know, we just lived across town, but we just couldn't get enough, so we had to move over there, so it would be right out our back door. You know, when you just spend time with other people in your community, especially one as rich as this one, getting in the soil and creating solutions for the future together, it really builds bridges and relationships. So I think it's good for our community in terms of wellness, physical and mental health, so and just social capital. Let me see if I left anything off. Hey, it keeps money in the local economy. That's great. Supports farmers and creates new ones. And I think I've addressed everything. So thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing this progress and being a part of that.
Thank you, Joanna. Who else would like to comment on this?
Well, I had come in here to be a part of the farmers market contingent on an ordinance change, but happened into a conversation that's very important to me. My name is Mark Kane. I've been at the farmers market here for this will be our 28th or 9th year. I can't remember exactly. We have Dripping Springs Garden, and I live about 50 miles from here. But I just wanted, coming into this conversation, which I didn't know was happening tonight, I just want to share a story with you about a job that I had right out of college as a biology graduate of the University of Illinois. There was a very interesting project there called the Urbana Park District Organic Garden Program. And it was a community garden that I worked for as assistant manager for about 2 years, in which the city had, under the direction of the Park District, had allocated about maybe it was 3 acres to this project where people could come in and rent plots for $30 a year. That were, I believe, they were 60 by 60. They were large enough plots that a family could go and garden most of what they needed in their vegetables. And if you are in the process of looking at decentralizing food production around Fayetteville, I would advise you to take a look at what types of land the city might have access to that could be converted into urban gardens that could be rented as plots by people, because having been a part of the farmers market and small farming for a long time, there are many, many drawbacks to the whole grow food and sell food and buy food. But there are many positive aspects of people getting out in the sun and growing their own. And what I would find on Sunday afternoon at the Urbana Park District Community Garden were families out gardening side by side on plots, and had very much the same social flavor as the Fayetteville Farmers Market does. And so you can create those pockets of community and food production by allocating space. Now, in this project, we were clear that we wanted people to inherit plots that were free of any residue. So we made people sign statements that they were actually not going to use chemical products on their gardens, whether you would want to do that or not. But Fayetteville does not have any community gardens that I'm aware of that have plots that are large enough for people to actually grow a portion of what they need to eat. And in some countries, this is the major form of vegetable production, is urban gardeners that are growing their own in small plots. So that's just my 2 cents having happened into this conversation. It's well worth pursuing. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Maybe all the wonderful supporters that have been up here who want to, besides me. I assume that Councilmember Marsh pointed out that Environmental Action came up with strong support last night for it. And I wanted to add one thing that may not be in this resolution, but it's something that the best known local garden or private project, and you've already heard from them, I think, from the group that's operating that's so successful, and it's that the soil is the most important thing. Excuse me for not taking off my hat. If it could be, it may not require amendment to this resolution, ordinance, to whatever it takes to get this study started, but education for everybody about, and this starts with developers, staff members, and the public in general, about where the best soil is. If you've got a flatland lot around Fayetteville that was not red dirted before your house was built, and some of the hillsides, even some hilltops, will grow good vegetables. But it's former prairie land that needs to be protected. It's the soil that we depend on. Of course, we've got to have rainfall and sunshine at the right time and all those factors to have an easy garden. But my neighbor down in the Town Branch neighborhood, let's see, today he bought a bunch of mulch and something else that was in it. But anyway, he hasn't had to amend his soil to this year. He's lived on that lot adjacent to the Town Branch for 45 years and gardened like crazy all those years. And he's just now finally, this past year, decided he needed to add something. That's how good that soil is. And he's got constant flower beds, constant things. He gave me some kale today, and after I took him a couple of little potted berry trees, the elderberry you're familiar with, elderberry wine. Anyway, it grows wild here, and if you can find some, and I happen to have in my yard lots of little ones coming up to go with the 7 or 8 feet tall in some cases. They grow in my backyard. They just come there wild. They're natural. That's because that land, most of it was never plowed. It was pasture, hay fields, and so forth. And if we can share with more people, and maybe as part of this the significance of that soil and how it can be identified. And I think Alderman Marsh is looking at her place, and some others already have some things growing. And you've got deep, rich soil. It's the most precious thing the land can do is help us provide local food. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we'll bring it back to the council. Any final comments?
Mr. Mayor, could I clarify a couple things
Sure.
to make sure that people understand? Obviously, homeowners can grow gardens now. It's not too late to plant. You can plant your gardens. I plant a garden, and And so we certainly can do that before we change any ordinances, and that's fine. The other thing is, a couple of years ago, I drafted up agreements between the Fayetteville School District and our Parks Department so that the Jefferson School area could in fact have community gardens with the water supply.
You've got 4 of those now, I think.
And I'm not sure exactly what the status of all that is, but they could talk to the Parks Department if you wanted to have your own plot there. Very reasonable cost, and a water supply, which, of course, in the last 2 years of drought, you need that water supply. So we do have some of that. I'm not saying, obviously there could be more, but we have made steps in that direction already.
Okay. I want to thank just a few folks before we leave here, before we vote, just for the record. I want to thank the Fayetteville Forward Green Economy Group. I want to thank Sarah Morrison, Environmental Action Committee, for her work on that. I know your stands on local food production. Thank you for your work. The Fayetteville Forward Local Foods Group has been very involved in this. Appleseeds, SNAP Education, Fayetteville Community Garden Coalition, Fayetteville Public Schools, Feed Fayetteville, University of Arkansas Community Design Center. I know Don Bennett down at Tricycle. It's just absolutely, I always go there to escape a lot of some of the other things I might be going through at the time, but it's always good to be able to do community garden work and go down there and plant seeds and watch things grow. And that's a very important thing to me. I want to thank Peter Garden and staff for their work on this. Excellent job. This resolution of intent will allow us to move forward. I have a sign in my office, and the staff will tell you this, that our guiding principles is an open door, open mind, and an open heart in this city. When I see this come together like this, I know that those principles are being enhanced and moved forward in the city. So if I left anybody out, I apologize for that. If you can think of anybody else we need to thank right now. I can't think of anything.
Our mayor. It comes from the top, I think. Thank you, Mayor. I move to pass the resolution. Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass the resolution. Sonia, would you please call the roll?
Long.
Yes.
Gray. Yes. Morris. Yes. Keenan.
Yes.
Petty.
Yes.
Allen. Yes.
Thank you all very much. All right.